Hello and welcome to the English show. I guess I'm not on screen at this point in time. What's going on here?
There you are.
Oh, here we are. How are you guys? Welcome to the English show, episode 7. My name is Stephanie and I'm accompanied here by my associate, by my partner, Alexis. How are we, Alexis?
I'm doing great.
How are we doing? We ready for the English show? Do you mind taking off the preview for me?
Yeah, I just need to tap here a few times.
No problem. I got it. I understand. We're working here behind the scenes. Okay, so the English show, for those, again, this is episode 7, so you may not be new. You may not know about us. We answer immigration questions live, and any questions you may have, you can feel free to ask on all the platforms. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of them, YouTube, most importantly, YouTube. And so we typically do this. We're on TikTok a little bit.
Gotta get back on TikTok. That's fun.
We mostly do this show in Spanish. So every Thursday at noon, we answer questions live. That's where we've built the bulk of our audience, but we're here doing it in English because we think it'll be really worthy for an English speaking audience as well.
I think so.
Yeah. So let's first, until we start getting a lot of questions, let's first discuss all the news, because as you guys know, immigration, and I'm sure, I don't know who's watching this in that how much they do know about immigration. Immigration never had so much breaking news so often.
No.
Historically, we've been doing this a very long time. We've been doing this for over a decade, and it never had daily changes in the way that this administration is making daily changes.
Absolutely. I remember it would be, let's focus in on a specific category of an employment-based visa. Maybe a specific family category, maybe a change in interpretation on some humanitarian visas. Right now, all the time, everything is somehow impacted. And so it's dynamic. It's somewhat challenging also. And I think more than ever, an attorney is pretty necessary to keep you up to date. I'm speaking to clients every day. And what I love is, with technology, people are in better communication with one another in every sense of the way. And I have clients who say, I'm in a group chat and I'm getting this information, and this is what I'm realizing with the processing times. And it's true, right? You're getting live, up-to-date information, more accurate and sooner than the government supplies it. And I think a lot of that has to do with they're going to drag their feet on a lot of applications and petitions and processing. Not severely, not for every country, but not every visa. But you have to be mindful how you directly are impacted. What's your situation might not be someone else's situation. And there was a big jump with processing times, and that created, I think, further delays in what we're going to talk about today, which is consular processing. I think we should review that a little bit. But before that, do you want to talk about the news maybe?
Let's talk about the news.
All right, let's do it.
All right. First piece of news that's going to be, I would say, of particular relevance for individuals is the element of social media. So the DS-160, whenever you are applying for a US visa, you would have to fill out a DS-160. And when you were applying for ESTA, for those countries that apply for ESTA, you would have to fill out the form. You would have to always provide your social media handles. That has always been the case, or for a very long time, it's been the case. But now the requirement is you have to provide your social media handles for the past 5 years, and you are required to make your social media public prior to the interview. What can I say? I obviously don't agree with this. I don't agree with many of the things that this administration is doing. It's an invasion of privacy. Ultimately, here's the problem. I understand what their logic and why they're saying it, right? They're ultimately saying it because, well, national security, potential for terrorism. Here's the thing, guys. Department of State has been in operation for a very long time. Patriot Act has been in operation for a very long time. They have already been able to do scrutinous review of you, yourself, your online thumbprint. They already have all this review. So they're sort of doing this in the name of national security, but they've already been doing national security checks on individuals who are applying for visas. It's not like we let anyone into the country. And those of you who are applying for visas know that. So this, to me, appears like a stretch to instead punish individuals for potentially beliefs, for potential political beliefs. So my word of caution there will be careful. Unfortunately, even though we live in a country that promotes so much freedom of speech, careful what you say politically, careful your commentary in a political sphere, not only against the US, but even against your own parties in your own countries, because that what I'm assuming will be held against you. And we've already seen that happening just through individuals who have been reporting it to us personally, right?
Yep. And we'll see how it works out. We'll see if it changes. How long is this going to last? What does it mean for everyone? I mean, social media, it's a private platform, but at the same time, many countries treat it as a public space. And so freedom of speech would apply, right? And so, and I guess it depends on the country where you're from and what the restrictions are there. It's interesting. It's very interesting, but it's better that people be prepared to share this information. What do you have on there? I mean, I think luckily I'm from an age where maybe social media wasn't as big of a deal when I was younger, and a lot of people post things when they're younger, and maybe it's not the best decision. But it's fine. Where no one's perfect, and it didn't hurt anyone, didn't harm anyone. But here comes an official, and they're like, "We don't like that. That was 10 years ago." Whether it was a joke or not, there's no context to it, and that's a little scary, right?
And then I think the fear is this is going to lead to delays in visa issuance, which U.S. Embassy in India has already reported it's going to lead to delays. Yep. And then who is doing this check? An individual officer can't do this check. That's the truth. There's just too many profiles online and too many individuals applying for visas to add this extra work to the consular officer. So this is likely going to be done by AI, and AI can make mistakes. So I imagine eventually in the coming months, we're going to get some information additionally about this on how they're actually going to be implementing perhaps, what's the word when I want to contest it? So contestations, when they're trying to contest a decision, because ultimately it may not be reviewed by an officer. Absolutely. That's going to come out in the coming months, I imagine. The elements of social media, according to the Federal Register, also consist of things like retinal scan, which many countries are already doing. So, that's just something that's becoming common already. More additional information about family members, and not just family members in the United States, but all family members. So that's, I believe, a bit of an intrusion, but they are upping the ante and asking for all of that information as well. So there's a lot of information now being requested of individuals who are applying for a visa and for ESTA. Just know that this may lead to longer wait times, but I will say, to give you a bit of peace and a little bit of positivity, for those who want to work in the United States, visas are still being issued, and they are giving preference time-wise to work visas. So individuals who have O1 visas, who are going to do H1Bs, who are going to do E2s, they're still going to be processed in good time, or that's the expectation now, and that's what we're seeing now with current clients. So don't be too scared. Like, it's still time to be able to do it. I think individuals who are being more affected are potentially family-based cases. Just plan for longer wait times, let's say.
Absolutely. I mean, I think something that was also in the news, not sure if you guys spoke about it last week, but employment cards, work permits are now reduced to, it used to be 4, maybe 5 years, depending on the country, what the purpose of the employment-based document was. And now these work permits are going to be valid for a year again. But that's usually what it was.
That was for a very long time.
And honestly, the change, I think, occurred during COVID because there were crazy wait times. Right. I mean, it would take a long time to get them. And then they realized, hey, we need to give people a break here because we're not keeping up with what is reasonable. And I think now that the processing times are reasonable again, they're reverting to that. And it's part of the security checks. So I know that was some news that came about also. And again, not anything that will change someone's outcome, but just be mindful, hey, if I'm expiring in 6 months and that's the soonest I can file for renewal, I need to renew in 6 months because the automatic extension is now also in play.
Correct.
Not in play.
Correct. So you're no longer having an automatic extension of your EAD. You can apply for a renewal of your EAD up to 180 days in advance. So at day 180, you guys want to be already filing your EAD extensions because it's going to be, you want to get it before it expires, before the current one expires, because there's no longer automatic extensions, right? The other thing that I wanted to talk about, again, this is news every single day. We've never practiced like this. This is crazy.
So
this one announced today or yesterday, I think it was, that now the photos, you can no longer self-submit photos. So with your I-45, with your adjustment of status petition, or your I-765, your work authorization, you would send passport style photos. That was a requirement for those two forms. Now they're saying outright they're no longer accepting self-submitted photos. They don't trust us. But now the other thing they're doing is they're going to require that the photos be taken by them at the service centers. And every 3 years, you need a new photo. So if, for instance, let's say you applied for adjustment of status now, but it's with an F2A case or F2B case, and it's taking a very long time to get adjudicated. If 3 years down the road, you still don't have your green card and you have to renew your employment authorization, they're going to make you come into the service center to take a new photo. So photos only last 3 years and they're no longer accepting self-submitted photos. What does that mean? For me, that means that may also affect wait times, because now there's an extra element of what they need to request from the candidate, right? Before, ultimately, it won't be too bad because most of these people were having in-person biometrics appointment anyway.
Anyways, exactly.
And so they're, at the same time that they're taking your fingerprints, they're just going to do the photo now for every single case.
Yep.
So it's not going to be a dramatic change, but there are certain categories of people that didn't have to take photos or didn't have to take biometrics before that now do.
No, they
right?
do. And they can't just do it at
biometrics-
home or anything like
Exactly.
that.
In biometrics, it was one and done. It used to be like, oh, we captured him. And then every single time you'd be like, oh, we got him. We got him.
Yeah.
Now they're going to be like, no, you got to come in because it's been 3 years and we got to take your photo.
Well, so I was reading behind it. So part of this, and a lot of airports already use this technology. It's a way to track people and know to give you automatically an I-94. So they're going to use AI to generate that I-94 now. So basically, I would assume that they're using the passport, the RFID chip that many countries use to kind of track when people are coming in and out, and other technology, and obviously speaking to an officer. But with this, they're using these images of you going in, going out to track and automatically populate that I-94. And that's really important for people who are non-immigrants because that determines the length of stay. Did you overstay your visa? It's always important for people to know when they entered, when they left, keep that record, make sure your I-94 and your travel history, they're both two different tabs on the same platform, are up to date. Because I think moving forward, the government will rely heavily on technology to keep track of that. And if you don't have any proof that it's otherwise and that information's wrong, it could backfire on you down the road. If you try to enter in the future or file for a different immigrant benefit. And therefore, you always want to be mindful and as I say, keep your ducks in a row, right? But just keep a clear history of when you're entering, when you're leaving the United States. And more so than ever will that be important. Because technically, if that's the information there, that's the information they're going to go by. And it's nothing to be concerned about, but just an extra layer of how things are changing, technology is changing, and I'm sure other countries are already doing it as well.
That I will say, yeah, they are doing that. Okay, let's talk about cancellation of family reunification.
Yep.
Alrighty, so on Friday, December 12th, they canceled the family reunification program. This was a program that existed for individuals who already had their I-130s approved, right? For those of you who perhaps don't know, family-based petitions that exist for adult children of U.S. citizens, adult married children of U.S. citizens, siblings of U.S. citizens. These petitions have long wait times because we have a cap on how many of them we admit per year, okay? So, and when we're talking about wait times, we're talking 8, 12, 14 years in some cases, so very long wait times. So what the family reunification program was doing was that for individuals from certain countries, they were going to say, hey, listen, if you have an approved family-based petition yet, but unfortunately just because of quota reasons, we haven't gotten to your number in the line yet, we're going to let you wait out the time in the United States versus waiting out the time in your home country. It was a beautiful program. I thought it was a phenomenal idea because these are people who are like, I've had this petition approved for 8 years. Let me in already.
Yeah,
you know, it's time. So they were screening them. They were vetting them. Department of State was observing these individuals. And after full security clearance, after providing police clearance letters, is that they were given family reunification. They were allowed to enter the US. They were allowed to work and live in the US until their green card would arrive. Beautiful program. Phenomenal idea by the past administration in order to alleviate a bit that wait time and that hold on these individuals and so that they could start their life. Trump administration has decided to cancel it with no more than 30 days advance notice. On January 14, 2026, all those individuals who came on the family reunification program and they got leases of houses and they got jobs and they have kids in school, all of this stuff, because they were told that they can wait out their programs in the United States, people who are already vetted must leave the United States by January 14, 2026.
It's pretty mind-blowing. That one's a little mind-blowing because they are vetted. They're paroled into the United States. That means there's a form, an application being filled out. They're appearing at the embassy abroad. It's limited to a few countries, not these programs were created to say, hey, your final action date is coming up soon, and we predict it'll be and it usually was the first in the next 12 months, maybe 24 months, and so we're going to let you come to the United States and finish out the process there. And they're taking it away. And hey, there are many reasons to take it away, but they can't say security wasn't. Yeah, I mean, these people were vetted. Yeah. It's not a security problem. And it was limited to specific countries. But that's the case now. Not all of the countries were in that group of 19 countries that are fully restricted or partially restricted. So I thought maybe it would have been limited. It was just everyone. Everyone.
Colombia, Cuba, Ecuador.
Ecuador as well, yeah.
El Salvador, Guatemala, Haiti, Honduras. So this is what really, upsets me. Because the statement from the Trump administration was, this administration is ending the abuse of humanitarian parole, which allowed poorly vetted aliens to circumvent the traditional parole process. I would like to be very, very clear here. Very clear. These individuals were already vetted by the Department of State. These are not individuals that were poorly vetted.
Right.
Like, these are individuals who already passed a security clearance. This is absolute lies, and I think you got to call out lies when they're said.
Well, let's see how it changes and what the pushback will be.
Let's see.
It was an executive program set by the executive branch, so I don't know. I don't think much will come from there. Something new that has come up now also is more action, another step towards what is the Trump Gold Card and soon to be also the Trump Platinum Card. And these are ways for people to migrate to the United States. And so this is that $1 million or $5 million gift donation, which you donate to the Department of Commerce, so the United States government. And there are two ways to get it. And it's following the EB-1A requirements or EB-2NIW. So what's fascinating is so that's their loophole for not having Congress create a brand new visa. So what they're doing is adapting it. And it suggests, right? So we need clarity from USCIS. There's no clarity yet on this part. But it suggests that donation, let's say for an EB-2NIW, will help establish the national interest, right? So the substantial merit, the national importance of what you're able to do, that you're well positioned. So you still need to show the regular criteria, bachelor's plus 5 years of work, post-baccalaureate experience, U.S. master's degree, have, a business plan describing your endeavor. If you don't have that, there are other ways, maybe a professional plan. For an EB-1A, you still need to show at least 3 of the 10 criteria. But it's going to be interesting because then maybe that assists with the final merits determination, which is discretionary and somewhat subjective, right? Due to Kazarian and Danisar for the other. But it's coming into play, and we'll see how it is. It is hefty because a lot of people say, well, what about the EB-5 program? And the EB-5 program is still there, the famous investor's visa, where generally it's, what is it, $800,000 investment, if not $1,050,000 investment, plus the fees for immigration, which might total, let's say, about $20,000, and then any legal fees. But that's a 5-year process, where this, technically, EB-1A, you could get a decision in 3 weeks if you do premium processing. And then the visa bulletin is current. You file You must be, no adjustment of status, only consular processing. And therefore, who knows, maybe a year later, you already have the interview and you're entering the United States. But here's the kicker. The $1 million is per person. So if you're married with 2 children, it's a $4 million donation.
Can I ask something? How stupid is this? I mean, obviously, this is for individuals to like get the rich people in and like look out for their friends. Like, believe me, it's not lost on me what this is for. But if I already qualify for an EB-1, why am I going to voluntarily pay an extra $1 million for what? EB-1s are already going fast.
Yeah.
You could already pay premium processing on an EB-1 for a decision within 15 days. And then those adjustment of status petitions are taking like 6 months. And even consular processing is taking 6 to 8 months. So like fast tracking to what? It's already taking less than a year, first of all. So, okay, let's say EB to an IW. You're going to pay $1 million to go what? A year faster? The process is currently taking like, I don't know, 30 months. I would say like 30 months in total. But so what are you going to do? I'm going to pay $1 million to lower it from 30 to 15 months? It's just such an ability to just like help the rich.
I mean, I think as a person who's applying, the benefit lies in, well, national interest waiver, that's a little hard to overcome. Yes, I have the degree.
You think
it helps.
You think the 1 million will offset the need to really hit the criteria? I think in practice
for national interest waiver, it's a little bit more clear cut because it helps really establish you're well positioned to do the endeavor.
Yeah, I catch you.
I have given this country $1 million. I am committed to hit, this endeavor of national importance, and I have the funds. By the way, if you review the form, they want to know your employment history for the last 20 years. Okay. They want to know all the degrees you've had.
And let's be clear, it's $1 million, but it's also a $15,000 filing fee.
Per person.
Is it per person? The $15,000?
Per person.
No.
Per person.
No. Are you sure?
Per person.
Oh my God. Okay. So the $15,000 filing fee, I thought it would be by the form, by the A140.
That's what makes sense, but it comes across as per person. That's why I think there's going to need clarification. The American Immigration Lawyers of America Association. They're going to come in and they're going to request clarity. There is no clarity. Stephanie brings up a good point. If I already qualify for an EB-1A, why am I going to make this huge donation to anyone? I mean, it's a beautiful gesture. If you can do it, please do it. We would love it. I think the issue becomes the subjective part that we know with EB-1A, we're really good at it. I mean, not to toot our horn, but we're good at it. We're really good at EB-2 and AW. But for those cases that maybe, are lacking that umph.
But here's the thing, with the EB-2 and IW, you can already, and we do this sometimes in weak cases, we already provide proof of financials to show, hey, listen, I'm saying that I'm going to come and do this project, and and here's some money that I have in the bank in order to put this project on air. But that money in the bank could be maybe, I don't know, $30,000, $40,000. That might be a little more realistic than $1 million.
Oh yeah,
and
this
we're already
is geared
providing
for
that
a
information.
specific group of people.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely ultra wealthy.
So to the point that I was trying to make, so you're paying $1 million per person. You're paying, according to Alexis, $15,000 in filing fee per person. You're paying the attorney at least whatever it is, but like tens of thousands of dollars as well. So you're coming out to let's say one adult is coming out to an overall investment of like what, $1,050,000, $1,060,000. Do the EB-5 if that's what the money you're going to invest.
Exactly. And I think what happens is with the EB-5, since it's a 5-year kind of process, 6 years to get the actual green card. Here you're if with EB-1A, potentially in a year.
With EB-1A, you will already get this. Do not pay the $1 million.
I know. Pay me.
Pay me.
If 1% of the $1 million.
Pay us.
It just doesn't make sense. It
doesn't make sense. The process is already taking 8 months with premium processing.
The interesting one's the Trump card. The platinum version. The
platinum one is more interesting. That's correct.
They will say, you know what? You only have to, I think it's that you live in the United States half of the year.
270 days.
Okay.
With no tax obligation.
From income earned abroad.
Correct.
And so, that's enticing to people who their incomes are coming really from all over the place.
But I'm going to challenge
that. That's $5 million.
Was it 5 or 2 million?
That's 5 million.
5 million.
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge that.
That's the
You
platinum.
know why that's going to be a massive lawsuit and not going to be implemented anytime soon? Because in order to do that, you need to change the IRS laws. You need to change taxation laws, because currently taxation laws, and listen, I'm not a tax expert, but in the very little I know, you are subject to taxation for income earned abroad after 180 days of residing in the US, not 270. So that Trump Platinum is like, no. We're going to change it from 180 days to 270 days. How are you going to change the regulations that govern the IRS, that govern the tax? Because changing
TBD.
legislation is not, you can't do that overnight. Congress has to change the legislation.
There's either going to be litigation or Congress is already working on it. It's interesting. Hey, we're just providing the news at this point, especially with that.
Heated over here.
Especially with that. But maybe let's get into consular processing.
Okay, before we do our consular processing, which is kind of our topic of the day.
All right.
I would love people to understand that we are answering questions. So let's answer.
Some questions. Okay. Yeah, there's some good ones, right?
Alrighty. I'll go first. I've got Emma Morticia. My case is consular. How can a US-based attorney protect my rights and keep the process on track abroad? Okay. If you are dealing with US immigration, I don't want you to be concerned as to where your attorney is located. What you need is a US-based immigration attorney. You don't need an individual who has immigration experience, but they live in your home country. No, you need a US-based immigration attorney, someone who's barred in the United States of America, someone who could actually fight for your interests in front of USCIS. But so you know, immigration is federal. So I can represent anyone in all of the United States, and obviously because of the nature of immigration throughout the world. So what you're looking for when it's in a context of immigration, you're looking for an attorney that is based out of the United States, that is barred in the United States, and so that they're subject to, you know, all of the things that the bar requires me to do to be in compliance as a valid attorney in the United States. Now, immigration attorneys, especially those like us that we're specialized in business immigration and family immigration, we're already going to have that experience with the U.S. Department of State and with the consular processing. Yes, we're not going to be able to attend the interview with you, but I mean, collectively, we've been doing this for over 20 years and we've never really had to, right? It's never been a situation where we had to present ourselves before the consulate. We're going to prepare you. We do a lot of communication from where we are, a lot of email communication with the U.S. consulate, with the Department of State. Everything is coordinated by the time you get to your consular appointment. Everything has already been handled, coordinated. They already have the documents they need. You have been prepared. The only thing is you are arriving and having that interview. And let me explain something to you. The interview, likely you can't go with an attorney anyway. So the point is, using a US-based attorney, we have all of the knowledge, all the know-how. We have the bar that basically commands us on what to do correctly and ensure that we do things correctly for you. But additionally, we have that experience because I deal with the consulate every single day.
Do you?
Every single day.
I know.
Every single day. I'm like, hey guys, it's me again.
I know.
So what's going on in Lima? Like, so we deal with it. The idea is you have to have a US-based immigration attorney because we're the ones who have that knowledge and that know-how.
It's not only that. I mean, we're also ethically bound.
That's what I was going to. We're ethically bound by the bar.
And each state provides its own bar. So each state here in the United States provides a license to an attorney to practice law, and then you choose the field, and there are some other regulations as well. But we're bound by that, and there are repercussions if we work in an unethical manner, certain situations, and so that's why we're professionals. It's almost like in many countries, a notary is a very important person. There's a lot of restrictions. It takes a lot to be a notary. Like there are more attorneys than notaries in most countries, in a lot of countries. And so think of it the other way around. In the United States, very simple to become a notary. Anyone can be a notary. You just kind of got to go in, get certified, and that's it. Whereas to be an attorney, it's a high level of not only school and education they get and practice, but yearly keeping up with, or every 2 years, depending on the state, with continued learning, education, and keeping up with the knowledge, always subject to anyone's complaint, and it's a high bar. So definitely there are benefits to using an attorney that's based in the United States versus one that's based abroad. Kind of going into that, and you know, we're always in contact with the different embassies and consulates. We have here Alejandro Rosario, sorry, who asks, how long is E2 taking in Canada? And an E2 visa right now, I'd say from the time we file to get an appointment, it's probably around 8 months. You think a little less?
A little less. I would say likely, honestly, I had one at 5 months, like last month.
Really? Okay.
So
there's been some improvement.
Right. It was 8 months, I would say a couple months ago. And then maybe there have been less applicants end of year.
Could be. I mean, it fluctuates from month to month as well. So let's go with a range of 5 to 8 months, just in case. Maybe even 4 months if you're filing now. End of the year, maybe not as many people filing, and you might have an appointment in March or April.
Yeah.
So it's very possible.
It's going relatively fast with Canada, I will say. I mean, I will say other U.S. embassies are going even faster with the E2, but Canada, yeah. I had one last month for like 5 months.
Nice. That's really good. I love that because I know a lot of embassies earlier in the year were taking a long time. Oh,
this one's funny.
What is going on here? It's not your screen. Honestly, yes. I get it all the time. I look like Johnny Depp. Not sure what that means. I don't know if it's the Johnny Depp or some other Johnny Depp, but yeah, something's wrong with sorry. Thank you, Ferchu. Ferchu. That's that. What does that mean? Fercho.
All right, I have a question from Amos. Curious viewer here, which consulates do you love and which do you try to avoid? Woo, this is a spicy question.
I like them all.
Oh, don't lie to the people.
I really do. I don't have quote unquote beef with anyone.
Go ahead, please. No beef with anybody.
I will say E2s in Buenos Aires sometimes. Man, I don't know what happens there. But aside from that,
I know what happens with E2 in Buenos Aires. Well, you know too. We just may not want to talk about it. But basically, traceability of funds in Argentina is very difficult.
Yeah,
and they know that. They know that. Okay, I'll be the spicy one, and I know you're going to agree with me on some of these. All right, Lima is being very mean to O1 visas.
Yes. Well, what's that? That's recent. Like, what's going on?
Why? Why are they being mean to O1 visas?
That
like,
was
they're
bizarre.
like,
we did talk about this.
This is like the last 2 weeks. Suddenly, they're like, I don't know. We need to look into this further. So they're just holding passports hostages in administrative processing, which is mean. Eventually, I email them. This goes back to Emma's question, US-based attorney. Don't worry. Like, just because we're in the US doesn't mean we can't be involved.
Right.
I email them. I get the passport out of the infinite jail that they have it in. So, like, we can do it, but they're just making us jump through hoops in a way that they didn't make us jump through before for no reason, because we have a lot of incredibly talented individuals in the arts, in music, in culinary arts, fine dining, Peru, delicious. But they're being difficult.
I will agree with you on that. That was surprising to learn this earlier in the month that Lima was being difficult.
I will say one, which crazy, considering our earlier videos during COVID, Bogota has gotten so much better.
Oh, Bogota's amazing.
Oh my God. So Bogota, we hated them during COVID.
Everything was slow.
They were so slow.
And they had to service then 2 countries also.
Which, to be fair, which they still do, but they just now hired more people.
I think they figured it out. Yeah.
So like they attend to Venezuela and Colombia. And the thing is, the populations of these countries are enormous. And so you have countries like Ecuador with smaller population, but they had 2 embassies. They have Quito and Guayaquil, and Colombia only had Bogota for 2 countries. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And they were taking forever. But they realized this towards the tail end of COVID, and they ended up hiring a ton more people. So Bogota is actually incredible right now.
Yeah, I think they're great.
What about English-speaking ones? Oh, surprisingly, all the Dubai, United Arab Emirates, they move fast.
They're very professional.
They're very meticulous.
And they know the visas. They know what the people are. So sometimes I'll have clients or, EB2 and IW, and the person was surprised. I'm like, really? You know how many countries I've already, people I've done from that country?
Mm-hmm.
But you go out to the Middle East, and sometimes people are stationed there. Maybe they're originally from, I don't know, Venezuela, and they work in the oil and gas sector, and they're working out of Qatar or anything they can. And then they go and they love it.
Yeah.
And they love it. It's such a good experience, and they're fast, they're proficient. I hear really good things from them. I think also a good one. I mean, they're all English speaking, right? It is a U.S. embassy.
Right. And the native language.
And that's they always take the native language too. So by the way, if you only speak Spanish, for example, and you're in France, you better speak French or English, because if not, you can't have the interview there. You got to go to your home country, and then if there's none, then wherever it's reassigned, like Bogota.
The Italian consulate's always very kind. London is notoriously spicy. Because I think they get a lot of people. They get everyone from all of the United Kingdom. And so I think that's why they have to be a little more spicy. So they will run you through the ringer a little bit, but I will prepare you for that. So don't worry. London has been notoriously spicy for years and decades. They've always been like that. I think it's just because of the volume of the amount of people that they attend to. Madrid is moving very quickly, which is really, really nice to see. But yeah, we have our pros and cons and we have our favorites. And we know, what the key thing is? We know which ones to follow up with and which ones to be like, no, just let them work.
Just give it another month.
Just give it another month, let them work. We know which ones not to bother.
I mean, kind of going off this is, and this is a great question, are consular cases moving faster than USCIS now since consulates aren't tied up with ICE priorities? And that's from Mental Health Enlightened. So that's a good question. And it kind of depends. So for I'd say the last 2 to 3 years, consular processing was doing much better than adjustment of status. I want to say maybe towards the end of last year, beginning of this year, certain family-based cases and even employment-based cases like EB1 were doing great with adjustment of status, and they were neck and neck, but still consular overall. Now, with the new fiscal year that started on October 1st, there was a big jump in the visa bulletin. And so what I've realized is for immigrant-based petitions, right? So DS-260 applicants out there, that your priority date is the final action date. It's already there on the final action board and or chart, and a visa could be issued, and you were DQ'd maybe 6 months ago, a year ago, but that just happened over the last 2 months. So a big group of people almost instantly became eligible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's created, I think, a little bit of a backlog. And maybe you think, wow, it just moved up. Sure, in essence, yes, on paper, but they still have to cycle all those applications, perform all those interviews. And that's still going to take time. So they're going to push through it. I think this is going to be an interesting fiscal year. I think things will get better, hopefully. When it comes to processing times, there might be a slight delay now, but in a few months, things will pick up again. Actually, I was talking to someone about it today, and they're saying, well, maybe I'm considering an adjustment of status in the United States. And I say, well, you have to think about this. You're going to start from scratch, and the processing times here are officially a year and a half, 2 years for employment-based adjustment, even though we see plenty that are done in less than 6 months. But that's the official time. So consular processing, I mean, I still love it, but yeah, I expect some delays. Nothing to do with ICE priorities.
Yeah. That's really a point. I wanted to clarify that. There are 3 different branches of Department of Homeland Security. CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, ICE is Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and USCIS, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services.
Mm-hmm.
So USCIS and ICE, they surprisingly don't have overlapping obligations, right? They have different duties. So it's not that USCIS is moving slower because they're tied up with ICE stuff. No, that is not the case. They are 2 separate entities completely.
Absolutely.
Now, NOEM did say that she wants USCIS officers having an enforcement arm. Remember, she talked about that like 2 months ago?
She did, and that's very interesting because the purpose, so Department of Homeland Security is created about 20-some years ago.
2001.
Yeah, right, 2001, 2002. And part of it was, what are these branches of government going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So USCIS is technically supposed to be only an administrative arm of DHS.
Correct.
Where ICE is like the police.
The enforcement.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's interesting that you want to do it. And CBP is also enforcement, but at the border, at the airport, the points of entry, let's say, where ICE is, the police. So it's interesting. But even if she did that, or even if it's done, and that'll have to, I think, take an act of Congress in order to make that happen.
I think so.
For
now, they're not really tied up with
processing at all.
For now, USCIS is not tied up with ICE duties because they're 2 separate entities. And I will say consular processing is moving quickly. But you know what? I'm not going to knock USCIS. USCIS is moving pretty fast too.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I have another question, which is I'll address this one. Well, Alexis and I will both go in on this one. Is anyone protecting immigrants these days? These crackdown feel borderline illegal. Who is on our side? We are. That's as cheesy as it is. We are the ones on your side. We're the ones fighting day in and day out for immigration. These bags under the eyes are not for nothing. But
You don't have any bags.
they're there. They're there. But essentially, it's that. It's look, we are having to fight immigration in ways that we had never had to fight them before. Just today, I filed 2 motions to reconsider because I know that USCIS is acting completely unkindly. And mind you, we're eventually winning. I want that to be clear. If you have a good immigration attorney on your side who really cares about immigrants, and that's why Alexis and I and Gil, we came into this business because we care about immigrants and we are all first gen, basically, immigrants. So we all have this sort of connection to this and to making sure people are able to come to the United States in the right way and accomplish their dreams and sort of accomplish that American dream. That's why we're here. But we're ultimately winning. We just have to fight more than we did. So instead of just fighting at the RFE stage, now we're fighting at the motion to reconsider phase or at the appellate phase. It's more fighting, but ultimately the law is on your side. What they're doing is borderline illegal, and they will have hell to pay because we will continue to fight the good fight and we will eventually get people in. And that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think what we have to remember is there are 2 types of, I want to say infractions because not everything is a crime.
Correct.
With immigration. So some things are civil penalties versus criminal penalties. And right now, everything's being treated, everyone's being treated as a criminal, even though maybe they committed a civil action. And so I get it. It's tough. It's complicated. There are a lot of people here in the United States, a lot of overstays. When you look at the numbers, the majority are good people. Maybe they're doing things the right way. Maybe they're doing things the wrong way. Maybe it's somewhere in between. And so I think everyone should be granted that due process. And that's why there's an immigration court system. That's why there is the Department of Homeland Security, USCIS, Department of Justice is also involved, Executive Office of Immigration Review. Let everyone work out through the system. That's why it was created. Everyone's here now. Sure, you want to change how people come in? Fine, I get it. Let's do that. It's responsible. I understand. But there's people here now, and the interesting fact is the majority of people they're getting are the ones who are in the system.
Right.
So you crossed over illegally 10 years ago. You've never reported to USCIS where you are. They don't know.
Right.
Those are not the people that they're really catching. So it's interesting. Even United States citizens are being detained and without a warrant. And so it's an interesting time. It's, to me, a slightly constitutional, not crisis. I don't want to take it there. But remember this.
I'll take it there.
Even the founding fathers defended the English during and after the American Revolution.
Correct.
So that just goes to show that there's a level of appreciation to the law. And for better or worse, we always have to follow the law for both the good and the bad. And that's why people want to come to the United States, because they realize there's a stable system here, a reliable system. And if something's not reliable, if the law doesn't mean much, then I think that creates friction and fractures the nation. But we'll see. It's an interesting time, but we can't forget. We got to do the little consular segment.
I know. But who's protecting immigrants? It's us. I promise you. Because we will get even more mad if your case is denied than you will. I promise you. We will be more upset than you are.
Yeah,
and we will continue fighting for you. So don't worry. Okay. Before we do our little consular section that we have to talk about, because that was our process. If you were waiting for a moment to ask your questions, it is now, not to toot our own horn, but we are giving free immigration advice. So take advantage, because sometimes a consultation costs money. So if you're going to ask us questions, ask them now. And we'll jump back to the questions while we go to our little consular segment.
Let's do it. Here we go. So, is this up and running?
Let's go.
There we go. So,
put us on the side, guys, please.
Yeah, here we go. There's
there
a way.
Go.
There we go.
There
the power of the team. Hold on. Thank you, media, wherever you are. Probably freezing because they're not in Miami. It's a beautiful 80 degrees today. That's what, like 30 Celsius. Yes,
Yeah.
about 30 Celsius.
All right, come on.
All right, consular interview playbook. Now, step one, when you file the very basic, and I think what are we going to focus on? DS-260, right? Immigrant visas.
Let's go with a super, super, super brief intro. If you're applying for permanent residency in the U.S., are we doing IVs or only NIVs? Let's do IVs.
Let's do IVs.
Okay, so we'll do immigrant visas. So you're applying for permanent residency in the United States. Your first step is usually going to be Form I-130 if it's family-based, Form I-140 if it is employment-based. You already have your I-130 and I-140 approval. Now you have to set up your consular appointment. What are we doing?
First step, they're going to reach out to you.
Correct.
NVC is going to say, hey, we're ready to do this with you. And you're going to fill out the application, DS-260, start paying some fees. You're doing all this through the SEAC. So we got this underneath, right? The glossary. NVC, National Visa Center, and then SEAC, the Consular, what is it? Electronic Application Center, I think. And so you're using, these are acronyms that the attorneys will use. You'll find them online if you're going down the Reddit rabbit hole. That's all going to come in. And the goal is to submit everything that they require through SEAC system. Sometimes you got to mail things into, depending if it's family-based or employment-based, to be DQ'd. What's DQ'd? Documentarily qualified. Once you're there, that means now you're just waiting for your final action date to come up to get an appointment, or what's happening now to a few people, that just hit. It hit really fast, really from 1 month to the other for about 12 months worth of people. So you're just kind of waiting to get the interview called.
So National Visa Center, after they receive your documents, they're going to tell you, thanks, got everything, you're documentarily qualified. Next time we contact you, it will be with an appointment at the U.S. consulate, because National Visa Center is the one that coordinates the appointment at the U.S. consulate. So you're not speaking to the U.S. consulate yet. When you're documentarily qualified, when you're sending docs, when you're not speaking to your U.S. embassy or U.S. consulate yet. National Visa Center will eventually show up again and be like, hey, got you your appointment in Madrid, putting you in touch with Madrid now.
Got my appointment.
There you go.
Now, you got your appointment. This is the interesting part, right? So these are some of the documents that you're going to need. Obviously, you have the form. If it's a family-based petition, I-864, just affidavit of support from the petitioner, if not other friends and family. Passports, biographical, so divorce, marriage, birth certificates, things of that nature.
Police clearance letters, because we vet people.
Yes, part of the process. But once you're DQ'd, that's kind of when you do a few other things. Right. And that's medical exam,
Well, to be fair, that's once you're hit up by the consulate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Once you're contacted by the consulate,
with the appointment.
This is what they're doing.
Exactly. So, sorry, I might have said DQ'd. So once you get the appointment set, that's when they're giving you maybe a 30-day window, sometimes a little bit more. In that 30-day window, you're going to move. You're going to set medical exam, which they'll probably send over. They might give it to you, but they usually send it over. You're also going to take photos. Can't take them yourself anymore. Okay, let's just establish that. And all the originals of that documentation you previously uploaded or mailed a photocopy of. And, of course, your passport.
And your fingerprints.
Well, your fingerprints, I hope.
Of the biometrics.
So when you have fingers, they'll be going with you, right?
They'll set up, the majority of U.S. consulates are setting up those appointments for you, by the way. The majority of U.S. consulates would be like, hey, you got to go here to get your biometrics at this time. You got to go here to go get this. And then they're basically governing everything for you. And at the biometrics is where they take the photo.
Right. And Department of State, they do a great job really of informing people of the process and of what you need and where to go. So the medical exam, not everyone can do it. It's not just any doctor, but there's a list. Find out the list, find out what works best for you, arrange it. You have to do it. Sometimes you have to update maybe a police clearance letter. So be mindful of that. When did you file that? When did you get it? Maybe you've been DQ'd for a while. Maybe everything's been there for a while. Maybe you got to update it. So be prepared to kind of be on top of that.
A little note for my Department of State officers. I doubt they look at us, but if they do, we do love you guys. You guys are very meticulous and you guys move very quickly.
Hey, man.
Our Department of State officers are not anything like the current immigration system in the United States. They really focus on
they're definitely professionals and they do more than just this too. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, they also represent us abroad.
Mhm.
If you as a United States citizen or legal permanent resident are abroad and have an issue, that's where you go.
Right.
That's where you get stuff done. So I mean, they're definitely professionals. Now you have the interview appointment set. They called in, date, time. What do I do? What do I take? What should I say? We're not going to go with you to the interview, but we're going to prepare you for that interview. And it's really not complicated. Honestly, it's a review of what was on that form is one part, and also a review of, well, what's the underlying basis? Who's the family member? What's your relation to them? So, hey, it's my son. That's easy, right? Here's the birth certificate. Your son doesn't have to go. Hey, I'm married. Well, here's the marriage certificate, proof of, that you're married. If it's employment based, are you still active in that industry? So are you still extraordinary? Let's say you're an athlete. Look, I just competed 3 months ago. Have an upcoming competition. I won first place. Here's a press article. Take something, right? If it's an EB to an IW, are you still practicing in that area? Did you take steps to further the endeavor? And we're going to tell you that. But it's nothing that's going to make or break the case. The case has been decided. It is extremely rare, not rare, extremely rare that things are reversed. That they're
rare.
just like, oh no, we're revoking that I-140.
I could count on one hand the times it's happened to us.
Absolutely. And we're talking about everyone. And Stephanie earlier said we have over 20 years of experience combined. We have way more. This girl's a little bit older than us.
I just didn't do the math. I'm not a math person,
Yeah,
so
don't worry.
I figured 20 sounded good.
20 sounds great.
Oh, it is.
You
much
and
more.
I together have over 20
Yeah.
years of experience.
That is
easily.
true, actually.
But we throw in Gil. And
Yeah.
man, I mean, we're, I'm not going to say his age, but sure, it's at least over, I mean, we're almost at 50, right? But it's definitely something that is extremely, extremely rare. And I think a lot has to do with how we submit the initial case, the underlying petition, the I-140, the I-130, how that's documented, and how we document everything from the DS-260. That way, this interview, though it may be, someone might be nervous, but you're going to be prepared. Everything's already going to be on record, and you're just taking things to update or taking in originals.
Yep. And you're going to, so after that appointment, usually they're going to do one of two things. Either if they want to, verify anything, verify that something, look, any issues to Alexis's point, they have already determined, USCIS, that you qualify for this benefit. So the majority of what the consular officer is looking for, other than those things that he mentioned, which is continuity in your area, which is kind of simple to do because, we're going to tell you, hey, make sure you stay active in your field. Yep. If that's employment based. The other thing that they're really looking for is immigration history.
Sure.
Criminal history.
Sure.
And vaccine and health history.
Yes.
That's the main focus of the consular interview, right? They want to see that the medical exam is clear. They want to see that you don't have previous criminal history, infractions, investigations, things of that nature. And they want to see that you have never had really any issues with immigration in the past, such as overstays. That is the main bulk of their focus. So at the end of this interview, it's either going to be, thank you so much. I'm keeping your passports. I'll call you when the immigrant visa is ready and you could come pick it up. I'm being facetious. It's not necessarily a call. They'll email you. They'll let you know, right? Yeah. But we'll let you know once your immigrant visa is ready to be picked up in your passport. Simple. Most of the consulates are going to return the passport within 1 to 2 weeks.
Yep.
Some a little bit more, but really no. Or they'll tell you, hey, listen, we need to go into administrative processing because there's something we want to look into, right?
Yep.
So when we have okay, perfect. So administrative processing could be like things like security clearance. Like I'll give you some examples of some that have happened. I had a client whose spouse tested positive for tuberculosis.
Oh, yeah.
And yes. Mind you, she had no idea. This poor woman was like, I have what? And so tuberculosis, I learned through this client, it's something that clears like with medicine very quickly. So they just said, hey, listen, this test is positive. So we're going to keep you in a queue for 6 months. We're giving you an appointment in 6 months, clear out the tuberculosis and come back. So that's one of the types of things. If you've had, for instance, some immigration history, some overstay history, they may require a waiver at that point in time.
If you don't already have one.
What are other things?
Well, here's an interesting one. In many countries, and actually in many states in the United States, the consumption of marijuana is legal.
Oh,
And so now you go to do this medical exam, and
That's a
guess what? It
good
comes up,
point.
and actually, you can't have that come up in your medical exam. So this is where having an attorney and speaking to them and being clear and honest count, because if that's the case, I'm going to say, well, if we can avoid it, let's delay the interview, right? Do what you need to do to be clean and come out and test negative. You test positive. Well, there's a few outcomes, and usually they'll give you a break, not a break. They'll give you a route to kind of circle back. And it could take 1 to 3 months. It could take 1 year. And there are just steps to show and prove that, hey, it's a little discretionary, to be honest. And it usually does take 6 to 12 months. But I had someone that last month, end of November, right after Thanksgiving, went back and the officer contacted them and said, all right, come back in 30 days is what you're going to do. Fill out this paperwork, get this set up, do another medical exam, show us again. And the person does live in a country where consumption is legal. So I think maybe that's where that flexibility came in regarding a shorter time frame to prove that. But it's like an administrative review. It's almost like a delay in the process. So there are things that can come up, and you have to be prepared. And that's why, if like Stephanie said, you have that previous immigration record history where you overstayed, maybe you stayed 2 months after, or you didn't know your I-94 expired in 4 months versus 6. Well, guess what? I mean, we got to clear that up, and you got to get the waiver. And usually we're getting that ahead of time, but that's part of this process.
Drugs, that's a very good point. Drugs are very important for the U.S., for the Department of State.
Yes.
Really important.
Yes.
Like possession crimes are an issue. You need to disclose it to the attorney, because we're going to come up with a different route for you. Any consumption that it comes out in your blood records or in your blood tests, because they may do that. They may do urine records. They may do a whole bunch of things. Make sure that you talk very clearly about any drug infractions with your immigration attorney, or if you're currently consuming, because that's very, very important.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, Department of State takes that very seriously.
Just be honest.
Yeah.
Just be honest.
Yeah. At least tell me.
There's nothing bad gonna come out. I don't judge people. I'm not.
Oh, no.
That's not my rule.
Oh, believe me, we've heard far worse at some point in our lives. So don't worry.
Not my rule.
After, I'm assuming. Yes.
Decision and next steps, which you kind of talked about it, right?
So they'll let you know, hey, listen, your passport is ready to be picked up. And then at that point, you need to pay something called the MRV fee, which is basically for CBP and the U.S. to already start ramping up the production of your green card and have everything ready for when you get there. The immigrant visa is typically going to expire within 6 months. So you usually look at the expiration date and verify, but it's typically 6 months. And you have to do your first entry to the U.S. before that immigrant visa expired.
Yes.
You don't necessarily have to stay in the U.S. already on that trip, but you have to at least make your first trip, pay the MRV fee, so that when you get to the airport, they're going to already be like, okay, great, we've been waiting for you. We'll start producing your green card, and they'll send the green card to whatever address you give them. So for instance, if you have us as your representation, you could give them our address and they'll send it to us, or you could send it to an address of a friend or family member, or if you even have your own address in the US, you can do that. But yes, they will go ahead and coordinate that. Before, they used to give you a packet, like a sealed packet that you would have to take with you, and you could not unseal, and you would give it to the officer at the airport. They've moved away from that. I don't think I've seen one of those in months.
Yeah. The last 6 months, maybe a little more.
It's
all digital at this point, but if you ever get that packet, keep it sealed. You present it upon that first entry with CBP, and that kind of scurries off to USCIS for production. Pay the MRV fee. If you don't, it could create problems. It could create confusion. It could call into question your status in the United States. Beautiful thing is, like Stephanie mentioned, come in, even if it's for 2 days. You come in, you activate it, you leave. That stamp in your passport is now proof that you are a legal permanent resident. You have now activated it, right? Let's give it a term. And it's valid for a year. And so you could go in and out. And then the idea is, are you going to be going in and out? We want you to get the actual green card in hand as soon as you can. And if you're going to be out, this is now long-term planning, and maybe you have to deal with a tax attorney and everything. Are you going to be outside the United States? Maybe you need to get a re-entry permit. And we'll coordinate that with you, because that's something that you need to file while you're in the United States and return if they issue a biometrics appointment for you to go in person. So, we'll have that conversation when it's right. But a lot of things to consider. And it's a big, joyous moment. You're coming in and you're solidifying something you've been working towards.
Yeah. I feel like roles. Clear roles, less stress.
The people know.
Okay, so essentially, it goes a little bit towards what Emma was saying, which is like the importance of having a US-based immigration attorney. Look, at the end of the day, we deal with this every single day. We're dealing with NVC every single day, the consulate, SEAC, we're dealing with the systems. So that's what our role is. Our role is to guide you in it. It's a very meticulous process, a very annoying process, we will say, but you have to do everything very meticulously, because one wrong step could just lead to months and months of additional wait time. And what we're gathering from you guys, we're telling you what we need to gather. You're getting us these extra documents for you, and then we're preparing it in the way that it needs to be presented to the U.S. Immigration Authority. So that's what we're here for. Why'd you do that?
Sorry, that's not the one I was looking for.
Yeah, thanks.
Nope, not the one I'm looking for.
At least figure out the one you're looking for.
That's the one. It was a good response. I'm sorry. That's the one. Well, we're wrapping up.
Anyway.
So Amos says in response to Emma's question, who do we believe in? It's like, in God we trust.
Amen.
I love it.
You know what's funny? Emma, isn't that the chat GPT for U.S. immigration?
It is. I think it is called Emma.
It's Emma.
It's Emma for
Ask
someone.
Emma.
I know. Oh, man, it is.
It is.
Thank you, Amos.
Do you think that's USCIS contacting us?
Oh, man. Well, thank you. This is funny. Anne Hathaway and Johnny Depp are now practicing immigration law on YouTube.
We wish. Let's be clear. We wish. We absolutely wish. Whoever knows Anne Hathaway's doctor, please put me in touch with him.
Could be a woman.
Him or her. Yeah, I would like to know that. Alrighty, guys. So that is it for episode 7 of The English Show. Thank you for being with us. As always, we're here answering your immigration questions literally live and literally for free. So take advantage of this resource. If you want to actually have a formal consultation with us to discuss some of your options, beltranburrito.com/contact. We'll be sure to put it in the YouTube description and at the bottom of the page. We like it. We could talk about this for hours. So we love being here with you guys. So right here, beltranburrito.com/contact us. And you could go ahead and send us your information and we could have a formal consultation. And if not, we will see you next Tuesday, every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Miami time.
Absolutely. So we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. And for those who are celebrating, happy Hanukkah. Love this music. Do people still put ringtones on their phones? No, not anymore?
Your phone shouldn't ring. It's going to be on silent.